Welcome to the first ever day of truth and reconciliation. Um, it's not. It's an absolute lie. It's a complete sham, invented by the man. Um, it shunts truth, and um, I don't know. It's it's the weakest attempt at reconciliation. It absolutely is. Absolutely, first and foremost, the chosen slogan of every child matters. They really hang you with that one because I mean, what kind of horrible person wants to make a video and say, "Hey, everybody"? So yeah, don't say every child matters. That's not what this is about, and it isn't. What happened to them didn't happen because they were children. It had nothing to do with age. Um, you could say, well, only children go to schools, but only native children went to residential schools. So, and this isn't a color thing either, because there are plenty of half or partial natives that went to residential schools that have a lighter complexion than I, and I have no native in me, none. Um, so, yeah, just call me Whitey. Or better yet, like as you can see, I have Germanic features. So go ahead and just call me a Nazi, even though my family left Germany, both sides, uh, before the wars. So yeah, I mean, what do you expect? And we were farmers, both sides. So yeah, there was no draft in Canada, and even if there was, like, the farmers don't get drafted, dude. Someone's got to feed people. So yeah, we didn't fight for Canada, but we weren't even in Germany. So whatever. But that's the thing, right? Like, people have always thrown Nazi around, and it doesn't matter. Like, you don't even have to be German. Just be a little bit too particular about grammar, and you're a grammar Nazi. Uh, okay, that's yeah. Okay, that went a little bit too off track. But it is. It's all under the same umbrella because it has to be. Because segregating equality is the most oxymoronic thing you could do. Oh, I'm sorry, this protest is just for women's rights because women need to be equal to everybody. But this movement for equality has to be specifically just about one group that is seeking their equality above all others. Like, find a better way to say that, because that's whatever. Here's the thing: every person matters until they prove themselves a person who doesn't feel that way, and then you are fully within your rights to treat them as an affront to equality and to freedom and to peace because they're being one. They're choosing to be one. Um, I didn't choose to be white. And you know what? At 17 years old, I didn't choose to be inspired by Martin Luther King's dream. That just happened too. I just was born white, and I was just in history class, which, and this is fortunate. Once again, like, this, none of my doing, but my high school history teacher, uh, one of three that I knew of, whatever, by luck of the draw, I got the history teacher who had a PhD in Native American studies. So my history class was a lot more skewed on on that whole idea of, okay, check it out. Canada's Thanksgiving has nothing to do with US Thanksgiving. So, yeah, just, like, if you want to say things are about native slaughter, then you go ahead, but our Thanksgiving was not the beginning or the end of any like resolution or confrontation with the indigenous people. Uh, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, so many Canadians just equate their clear-headed enough to know that it's in different months, and if anything, like ours is towards the beginning of October and theirs is towards the end of November. So it even stretches to more than a month apart. And people are very well aware of this, but then you still hear Canadians throwing out that pop of like, whatever, it's just about slaughtering Native Americans, anyways. It's ridiculous. But to get back to the roots, uh, every every person is a person. That's it's the one universal truth. You can't poke holes in it. And like Martin Luther King's dream, that a man and whatever, a woman, a child, um, the they need to be judged by who they are, not how you see them. Do you understand? Who they are and how you see them. None of the words in those two statements are the same. Just it's completely different. Um, I don't know what to tell you. Again, like every child matters, and it's a great sentiment. And the idea of building a cause on this when that's not the actual truth feels like forcing people to remain in silent, because who wants to publicly say, hey, it's not every child matters. And yeah, like I feel horrible saying that, but it has to be said that what happened did not happen because they were children. It happened because they were a race that was deemed by church and government to be less than deserving of respect, less than deserving of life. You want truth, you want reconciliation. Those four Christian churches that spat in the idea of Christ's message, they definitely did not treat everyone as they wish to be treated. Their land is already tax exempt land in Canada, and those four churches should have to pack it up, get out, leave, you're done. Walk away from that tax exempt land, give that back to Native. It's not a lot, but here's the thing. Anybody who keeps following that, and especially Catholicism because it's in there, and I have blown along screaming about how we have to forgive them for the Crusades, because we're never going to get to know the full extent of the truth. We're never going to get to know all of the horrible things that were done in Christ's name through Catholicism during the Crusades. That whole convert or face imprisonment, face theft, people were killed. Um, it's it's all insanely hypocritical, and I'm not saying that those churches need to pack it up worldwide, but in Canada they've burnt themselves. They've absolutely burnt themselves. They're seen as hypocritical. Um, we all knew about residential schools. We knew that there was unfair treatment going on forever. It wasn't until the bodies were discovered, the mass graves, that people decided, oh, this is absolutely wrong. But yet nothing was done about it. Nothing was given back. Friction was given when the request to cancel Canada Day came in. And yeah, like we're talking less than a month after bodies are discovered. And yeah, we can't even give them that. And they weren't taking away anything. Um, it would have still been a stat holiday. They were just asking people to not do fireworks, which, what are fireworks, really? Like, do we need them? Especially during a pandemic? Like, has anyone ever considered fireworks to be an essential purchase? Same with the consoles, PlayStation and Xbox. Many stores in Canada weren't even allowing the sale of electronics. Um, I mean, you could curbside it, I guess, but that was the thing, right? Like, if you're someone who's like, yeah, I'm a curbside a PlayStation before curbsiding some groceries. No offense, but I really hope somebody would steal your cart, because a PlayStation, fireworks, these aren't essential purchases. Uh, they they weren't essential developments. Like, when so many people weren't allowed to go back to work, PlayStation put their people back to work so that they could make their appropriate deadline for the release of a new console that came 6 years after its previous model. If you can't get a decade out of your console, and if you think about it, like, they're going to brick consoles, and yeah, it's a rental thing. You rent it from the day they release it, even if you didn't hop on the exact day one, even if you waited a few months or years. It's from the date they release it to the date they decide it's obsolete, the date they decide that it's infringing upon the PlayStation 6's profits. Um, when it's no longer something that you bought that made you a customer, it's now something that you're using to escape the natural progression of the PS6, the PS7, etc., etc. And all of this is, it's off topic, but again, it's not off topic, because the only color that matters is green. It really, really is. It doesn't matter if you were born with it, worked hard for it, uh, luck lotteried into it, inherited it. You know what? If they can't prove you stole it, it doesn't even matter if you stole it. Money's all that matters, and you can get away. You can be exempt from any horrible treatment that exists because of such. And now where they intersect, where money and xeno catastrophe, where they come together. Um, so this is great. Studios are investing more in stories that involve. Well, let's just be as relevant to the time as we can. There's been a lot of production with natives, and what would happen here naturally in the Hollywood world is, for these native centric pictures, there would be a production company working underneath whatever white owned studio, but this production company would be a natives only production company. And it's a thing, because that's totally allowed. A natives only police force is not allowed. A branch of Coca-Cola run completely by natives not allowed. Um, you understand the idealism that I'm getting to is that separating to preserve their identity. That's absolutely cool. That 100% for this ideal that a certain amount of everybody has to be represented in media. Um, okay, so obviously period pieces get you away from, because whatever period in whatever time you get to go with the the lack of homogeny in that area, right? The Okay, so if you're gonna do Superman's origin, how many black families? I mean, Smallville had two two families of black people. That I'm not even 100% sure, but it appeared they didn't even live in Smallville, Kansas at the same time. But see, there you go. You want to do something 70s or 80s centric to to rule America, and yeah, I mean you're not going to have to include a lot of minority characters. Any LGBT characters that you present, um, you'll you'll have to have them do an in the closet arc to make sense, or a public ridicule arc to make sense, right? Like you understand this. It's not buddy comedies. This has been a staple for farther than this idea that you have two best friends in the movie, and they're usually both minorities, or just one is a minority, but the people they're against are always overly white, which leads you to believe in the case with, and let's use Harold and Kumar as an example. They were just literally the only two minorities, with the exception of their white Jewish friends, um, in their not only high school but essentially like their neighborhood. Um, and okay, I mean, there's basis in reality. If you're the only two minorities in a school, I mean, odds are you're going to find each other. But here's the thing: there are so many people who don't know or acknowledge that someone in their life is gay. To them, they go day in day out for like the bulk of their life without ever being in close proximity to a gay person. So when every single show coming out has to have one gay person, you're not relating to these people's experiences. Um, it's not sad or like homophobic or anything like that. Even even if it was a 50-50 split, 50 people, 50% of people are heterosexual, 50% of people are homosexual. Um, there would still there would still be people and places and stories where, yeah, this is not intentionally. It's just it's a majority straight neighborhood. It always was that way. Gay people don't move in. When they do, they don't stay long. In the same in the homosexual community. Like, hey, this is a whole bunch of homosexuals. We don't discriminate. We don't say that heterosexual people can't move here, but like they come, they see it, they're like, what, like this is their cup of tea, set up for them. I'm going to go live my cup of tea. I mean, like, yeah, if you're the only heterosexual couple in a cul-de-sac of homosexual couples, then it makes it really difficult to to have sex with your neighbor's spouse, unless you are in fact bisexual. You see this? This is where we go, where everybody needs to be included their percentage. If the world is 20 some percent this, then they get 20% of all coverage. Cool. There's 5 characters in this show. One out of those 5 has to be of this group, because that's just the way the math works. But here's math. So this ideal that George Floyd did not deserve 7, 8, 9. I've even heard 12 minutes. Like the number keeps changing. It's ridiculous. We've got Moses marching in the desert for 80, 100, then 120 years. It's, you can't keep changing go, man. Like serious, you can't. You can't keep changing go, because people need to know that they go around the same amount of squares every time to pass go. Right? It's the same as moving go. Moving go is the same as like, oh, for this time, and random sporadic other times, you will not get $200 when you pass go. Right? People will be like, whoa, that's not fair. I didn't get it this time, but so and so did, and he also got it last time, and I also didn't get it last. You gotta understand, okay? This idea that he did not deserve those minutes goes against the idea of poetic justice. Not the idea of karma. Karma is good, good, bad, bad. It's not your specific crime is what specifically gets you killed. George Floyd, it wasn't a random thing, okay? They were called for him. Once again, you can't believe what you hear, but 2 of those officers were said to have had prior run-ins with George Floyd. They were there specifically for him. He was specifically passing counterfeit currency in a convenience store that, once again, allegedly he had in the past robbed. He was a person who lived off of the fear he was able to cultivate in others. He held a Latina woman for 40 minutes with a gun to her stomach, threatening to rape her. And poetic justice would say that he needed those 7, 8, 9, whatever minutes, because without those minutes, he's not going anyplace good after he dies. He's just not. His table doesn't get to be clear. He doesn't get to be balanced. He should never get to be a hero, ever. Don't champion your cause around this. That's all I'm saying. Martin Luther King told me that if a person acts like a criminal, career criminal, and fear-mongering, violent son of a bitch, that you can treat them as such. So to say that as a black man, he didn't deserve that, that's judging the situation and its aftermath just by the color of his skin and not by the content of his character. Absolutely. Absolutely. Pulling somebody over and dropping them on the sidewalk just because they have the same skin color as someone. Racial profiling. Absolutely wrong. Guys wearing black jeans and a red hoodie. That's